Get a sip of coffee. There we go. All right, it's been about a week. No, it's been over a week since the Mega Jam ended, and I'm not done being tired yet. Okay, so I'm finally going back to working on Rustwalker now that we're done with the Game Jam and the other things that I've been working on. I do have one thing I wanted to do before Christmas, but I don't think I'm going to do it, so I'm just going to leave this in the video so you can just wonder forever. But this week I've been working on the magical thing known as packaging. I don't like Reaper's color scheme. There we go. Whoa. What did I have open for the cool colors? Ooh. So if you've ever packaged a project in Unreal, you'll know it's a complete nightmare. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a magical formula that just goes under the radar. Or if you're like me and you like Paint and you decide to use C++, you have crashes that happen frequently because things in the shipping build are different than things in the editor. Glasses are doing that thing again. Another thing that you have to worry about is having no console output. One thing that I noticed when I launched my game after being away for a while, it's like I need to do a shipping build. So I put together a build and it crashed every time. And so instead of doing my normal method, my thoughts were, well, let's see what's the output. There's no output at all in a shipping build. And the only way to get an output is to build the engine from source, which I regret completely. Turns out that building the engine from source will take you anywhere from 10 to 40 days. So building from source is an option, and it is very cool that Unreal lets us do this. But for some unknowable reason, I don't know, it's probably some compression thing, but when you compile from source, it makes the game engine 140 gigabytes in size. And if you're like me, you like to store all those dank memes on your hard drive and you don't have space for 140 gigabytes of editor. And my first time compiling it took about what felt like 2 days, and it crashed because it ran out of space. Well, I thought I'll just clear out space, and I ran it again. But then it finished, but the binaries were broken. So I did what any rational person would do, and I played a video game and took a nap. Then I ran it again, full rebuild from scratch, another 2 days. It's actually, this is all in 1 day, but it felt like weeks. So after recompiling it another time, it worked, it opened. And that was great, but I realized that for some reason I had built the 426 version, not the 425, which is the version I needed. So I tried to fork the 425 version, which I thought I already had, but I didn't. And halfway through that process, I said, well, you know what? This is going to take forever. Why don't I just roll back? Which I did. And then it had to recompile from scratch a third time, which makes a total of 3 times of compiling. But luckily, it was all worth it in the end because all the marketplace plugins that I had wouldn't compile. And so I was left with only one option. And this is actually the best option I have for fixing shipping builds. Step 1, cry. Step 2, panic. Step 3, start unhooking nodes around the problem area until the bug goes away. And for some reason, when I updated to 426, all the crashes gave an output log. So always update to the newest version of the engine if you've got some weird crash that you can't fix, and start cutting nodes off. Because when I realized that it was only when I would travel to an area, I was like, hold up, there's something here. And it had to do with spawning my character, and he was spawning with a revolver that had no data. So that's a whole nother thing in itself. But now I can spend my Christmas break making stuff because I like game developing, and I do not like compiler errors. If I die with compiler errors left on my project, I will come back as a ghost. That's already planned out. So someone's gonna have to come and resolve my whole build issue if I die, or else I'm gonna be one heck of a ghost, and you're not gonna like that. it's a good plot for a TV show if you're right there. So now, before this, actually, I played around with some more Houdini because I have a trial and I'm cheap, and Houdini is expensive. And I talked to my whole team about whether or not we could purchase a year of Houdini, and the response wasn't completely great. Hey guys, think we could buy a copy of Houdini? Houdini, you say? Do you think it'll be useful? Like, is it really a good purchase? Yeah, I think it would be. Let me check with the finance department. Houdini, you say? Let me check the budget. No, we spent all of our money on the laptop to check the budget. So for now, I've got the 2-month trial, which is probably less than a month left. And I decided, well, I've got a mission that takes place in a desert that has a crane and has some other stuff. Why not have Houdini make it? Great way to see if it works for actual production, which it does seem to do pretty good for the Mega Jam. I was able to crank out levels a lot faster just by making tools that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So I've made the crane, and I've made a desert, and it can texture it, and it's really nice. And I'm trying to keep the style less than photorealistic, because obviously I can't make photorealistic, and it takes a lot of work to make anything trying to look photorealistic. So I'm keeping things on a kind of stylized. And then, so we have the desert, we have the crane, which is actually able to be procedurally modified, which that's something I really like, because it's textured in substance, it's done, it's a production asset, but you can add a little bit of a bend to it because the crane gets destroyed in this mission, and we have 2 versions of it, and they're going to be pretty cool to have that, and it doesn't need a different texture or anything. It's just 2 different meshes, and yeah, I like it a lot. I love everything about Houdini. If they want to give me a free license for me to just be like the Houdini evangelist, I will do it, and I'll do it happily. So going forward, I'm going to be working on this desert mission. I'm kind of excited about it. I've also, through my whole jam week and a little mini project I was working on before, I learned a pretty cool trick that you can use for horizons. Just take a plane. You can put a texture on it too if you need to. Stretch it out as far as you want. Like I do like 50,000 units. Turn off collision because that's a problem. And then put an atmospheric fog that's set at a far distance. Boom, you've got instant horizon line, and it looks a lot better. Like, it's really hard to keep that right. And if you wanted to throw some mountains on it in the distance, that works too, and it looks good. So that's just like a little trick that I've found that works wonders for really fleshing out your scene, because if you have nothing in the horizon, it feels small and confined. But even if you don't have an explorable zone, games have been doing this forever, and it's a big duh, but a big old plane with a fog, it's great. It works fine. And then, texture to the color or texture that's already the predominant color of your environment, so it just kind of looks like it goes on forever. I've got this little one here with the, it's a junk planet. It's not really fleshed out yet, but I did that today, and I just slapped the texture on it. It looks perfectly fine to me. The terrain itself isn't textured, but the background is. But it'll just blend off into the distance, and yeah, it makes you feel like you're on a bigger place, like an actual planet. Yeah, so it turns out pretty well. Let's see. Oh, before I forget, I put together a tool, since I've been doing packaging, that might be useful for you if you're doing packaging as well. A lot of times when you build out something in the Unreal Engine, you get a whole lot of files. And this, just a quick side note, currently I'm building out with, not as pack files, because when it's not pack files, it just basically dumps an entire Unreal Engine project into the files of the output. And that is useful because you can run the Unreal Sous Chef, which is something I put together one day this week while I was getting mad at compilers, that will take your project directory, compare it to your project content directory, and you can take and give it the cooked content directory. It'll compare the two, give you a little output, and then boom, you can tell what files are actually not being used in your final build. I wouldn't just go and delete them because they could be used somewhere else, and you may not have put the right map in. So once you have the game working, you got everything in it that you like, you can use this to start pinning down the files that you don't actually need. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty useful for me because I've been wondering for like ever why my project files, because I mean I've brought in placeholder assets from the past, and then I've made a lot of stuff and then I've removed it, and then you're like, why is this 10 gigabytes and then the build is 5 gigabytes? It doesn't make any sense. There's 5 gigabytes of nonsense somewhere, and now you can locate your nonsense. So that's I think I'm gonna put it up for free to download off GitHub. I'll make it an executable to save everyone's sanity. If you're not familiar with Node.js, yeah, so check it out, try it out, make backups. It doesn't change anything in your files. It just reads the directories, but as just always be careful running weird stuff. And not saying this is weird, but be careful. Now I'm finally going to start working on some quests, or I don't like to call them quests, some jobs. And yeah, hopefully there's something to show soon. If not, I'm lame. All right, well, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, unless you're already subscribed, in which case that will unsubscribe you. So don't do that. That'd make me sad. So yeah, hit like, hit subscribe. Any kind of reaction helps with videos being found. Also, I need to make a video about the PS5. It's been in the background, and I recorded unboxing footage. So yeah, spent all my money on the PS5 and the camera. Cyberpunk's out. There's a bunch of Game Jam games I want to play. I hope I don't leave this in. Alright, well, yeah, do all the things, make all the things, and Merry Christmas. Unless you don't celebrate Christmas, in which case, still Merry Christmas, because it's a day that I'm going to be celebrating. I wish you have a merry one too. See ya. Click.